Hello. My name is Lily Washington. I sat in the seat I paid for, in first class, quiet, respectful, with my boarding pass in hand. And my own sister walked down that aisle, looked me in the eye and slapped me. She called me trash. Said I was sneaking into a seat like I didn't belong. She called security. And I made one phone call. Just one. What kind of family sees your success and calls it betrayal? What happens when you've built everything on your own, only to be erased by the people who were supposed to protect you? And when the truth finally speaks, will they hear it? Or will they only listen when the world is watching? What do you do when silence isn't weakness, but a weapon? Let me tell you what happened after that slap. The airport hums like a restless city of its own, voices weaving in and out, luggage wheels clicking on polished floors, the faint smell of coffee and jet fuel hanging in the air. I check my boarding pass again, even though I've read it 3 times. First class, Skylight Airlines, C2A. It's not my first business trip, but something about this flight feels heavier, like I'm walking into a test I didn't know I'd signed up for. I arrived early as I always do. Old habit. I like to sit by the gate, watch people rush by, and remind myself that moving slowly doesn't mean I'm behind. Years of climbing my way up have taught me patience, the kind that doesn't need to shout to be heard. My phone vibrates. Another email from the New York office, another deal waiting to close. I tuck it away. This trip isn't about work, not really. It's about family, though I'm not sure that word still fits. When they call boarding, I step onto the plane with the quiet confidence I've spent a lifetime building. My heels click on the cabin floor as I find my seat. 2A window side. I slide my bag into the overhead bin, take a breath, and let the hush of first class settle around me. The leather seat hugs my back. For a brief moment, I feel what peace is supposed to feel like. Then I hear her voice. "Excuse me, miss." It's not directed at me, but something about the tone makes me look up. The cabin door opens again, and there she is, Varushka. My sister. Same perfect posture, same red lipstick, same air of someone convinced the world owes her obedience. She doesn't see me at first. She's talking to another flight attendant, gesturing with the kind of authority that doesn't need confirmation. She's in uniform, skylight navy blue, gold wings on the collar. Of course she is. She's always loved control. When she finally looks my way, her expression freezes, like the air's been sucked out of the cabin. "What the hell are you doing here?" Her words slice through the hum of the aircraft. Passengers glance up from their phones. I blink, unsure whether to laugh or brace myself. "I'm taking the flight to New York," I say evenly, just like everyone else. Her face twists, part disbelief, part irritation. "In first class?" "Yes, Varushka. In first class." She gives a quick laugh, sharp and humorless. "You've got to be kidding me. Did you use somebody's buddy pass again? You can't just—" "I bought the ticket," I interrupt. "With my own money." That shuts her up for half a second, but I can see the storm forming. Her eyes scan me from head to toe, like she's trying to find the lie. I can almost hear her thoughts. Lily, the one who left Atlanta with nothing, who never bragged about success, who still hasn't learned her place. "Sweetheart," she says, lowering her voice but not enough. "This section is for paying customers. You can't just wander up here because you think you deserve better." Something inside me cracks, not loudly but deep enough to echo. I should walk away, but I don't. Years of swallowing my words have made me fluent in silence. "I am a paying customer," I reply softly. She rolls her eyes, then calls out to the flight attendant beside her. "Check her ticket, please. We've got a situation." The attendant hesitates, glances at me apologetically, but Varushka's tone leaves no room for refusal. "Go on," she presses. "You'll see." Passengers are watching now. I feel their curiosity like heat on my skin. I hand over my boarding pass without a word. The attendant scans it. The beep confirms what I already know. "C2A, purchase directly," she says carefully, looking between us. Varushka snatches the ticket back, reads it like it might rewrite itself. "You've got to be joking," she mutters. "This is ridiculous." Then louder, "People try to sneak into first class all the time. You should be ashamed of yourself, Lily." Her voice rises. I feel the eyes on me multiply. My throat tightens, but I hold her gaze. "Please lower your voice," I whisper. She doesn't. "Don't tell me what to do on my plane." And then it happens. A slap. The sound is quick, sharp, an open palm against my cheek that feels less like pain and more like confirmation of everything I already knew about her. Gasps fill the air. Someone drops their phone. I hear a man whisper, "Is that her sister?" Another person starts recording. I don't move. My hand touches the side of my face instinctively, but I won't give her the satisfaction of seeing me flinch. Verushka, I say quietly. You just hit me in front of strangers. She crosses her arms, chest heaving. Better strangers than the whole family. Maybe now you'll finally stop pretending you're better than us. The attendant's radio crackles. Security to gate 12. Possible disturbance. I watch Verushka speak into her headset like it's just another day at work. We have a passenger refusing to move to her assigned seat, she announces. She doesn't look at me. She doesn't have to. Security approaches. 2 men in dark uniforms. One of them nods politely. Ma'am, can you show us your ticket again? I pass it to him. He studies it, then looks at Verushka. It says first class. She forged it, she snaps. Look at her. Does she look like she belongs here? That's when the humiliation burns through my chest like wildfire. Not because of her words, but because they sound like every doubt I've ever fought against. Every you're lucky to have a job. Every you should be grateful. I inhale slowly, grounding myself in the weight of the seat beneath me. Officer, I say evenly, my ticket is legitimate. You can confirm with your system. He hesitates. I can tell he doesn't want to get involved in family business. Let's just make sure, he says finally. Verushka leans closer, her perfume sharp with aggression. You always push your luck, Lily. Always have. Maybe you fooled those city folks, but not me. I turn my head toward the window, counting the breaths between us. 1, 2, 3, stay calm. She feeds on reactions. I hear the murmur of passengers behind us. One woman whispers, "That's awful." Another says, "Is this for real?" The officer steps aside, speaking quietly into his radio. Verushka's smirk returns, triumphant. I know that look. She thinks she's won. But I'm not 12 anymore. I reach into my bag, not quickly, not defiantly, just enough to draw a quiet click from my phone. The screen lights up. A soft vibration hums against my palm. The message waiting there reads, "Everything ready?" I type one word back. "Yes." The officer returns. "We're verifying," he says. "Take your time," I answer, still looking out the window. Verushka folds her arms. You always had to make everything complicated. I can hear the bitterness underneath, the resentment that has nothing to do with airplanes or tickets. It's the same venom she carried since childhood, the kind that blooms when love turns into competition. Do you ever get tired? I ask suddenly. Of what? Pretending this isn't about you. Her jaw tightens, but before she can reply, my phone buzzes again. A notification flashes across the screen. I glance down, then up at the security officer. I think your supervisor might want to handle this personally, I say calmly. He frowns, uncertain. Why would you? Before he finishes, a voice comes through his earpiece. His eyes widen slightly. Yes, sir. Understood. He looks back at me, then at Verushka. Ma'am, could you step aside for a moment? What? She laughs, a brittle sound. Are you serious? She's the one causing. Please, ma'am, he repeats, firmer this time. She glares at me. What did you do? I hold her gaze, voice steady. You called for security. I just called someone higher. Her face drains of color. For the first time today, she's the one left guessing. The hum of the plane fills the silence between us again. I turn my phone face down on the tray table and lean back in my seat. My cheek still stings where her hand met skin, but I no longer feel small. Verushka stands frozen by the aisle, breathing hard, still trying to figure out how this slipped out of her control. I whisper quietly, almost to myself, "Tell Draven it's time." A soft chime echoes from my phone, confirming the message sent. The chime from my phone fades into the air, and for a brief second, everything feels still. I slip the device back into my purse, smooth my jacket, and look up. The 2 security officers are still standing near the cockpit, waiting for instruction. The flight attendant beside them keeps glancing between me and my sister, unsure which of us she's supposed to protect. I don't blame her. People often get confused when silence holds more authority than shouting. I can feel Verushka's stare before I meet it. She's still by the aisle, hands on her hips, pretending she's in control. Her lipstick hasn't smudged, her smile hasn't faltered, but I know the signs of panic in her eyes. She's trying to cover the tremor in her voice with attitude. "You forged that ticket," she says, raising her voice, just enough for the passengers to hear. "You've always been a con artist, Lily. You think because you left Atlanta and got a fancy job, you're someone now." Her words slice through the calm like broken glass. The man across from us lowers his newspaper. A younger woman takes out her phone, pretending to check messages but secretly recording. I hear a child whisper to her mother, "Why did she call her a con artist?" Verushka continues, pacing the narrow aisle like she's leading a courtroom drama. This is exactly what you do. You sneak in, you fake it till someone catches you. She leans closer, her voice dripping with poison. You've always thought you were better than the rest of US, didn't you? But you're not. You're just good at pretending. I keep my hands folded neatly in my lap, feeling the burn of humiliation crawl up my throat. Every word she spits is an echo of a lifetime. Thanksgiving dinners, phone calls that ended with slammed receivers, the countless times I paid bills quietly while she took the credit. Verushka, I say softly, you're making a scene. Her laugh is brittle, too loud. Oh, honey, the scene was made when you sat your behind in that seat. You think money makes you better? You think. Ma'am. One of the officers finally steps forward. Let's de-escalate this. I'm calm, she snaps. She's the problem. She's lying about her ticket. The officer turns to me. His tone is careful, professional. Ma'am, may I please see your ticket and ID? I nod, passing both without hesitation. No trembling hands, no defensiveness. Just quiet certainty. He studies them for a moment, then looks up at me. Something flickers across his face, confusion maybe, or respect. My ID carries weight, but he doesn't recognize why yet. Everything seems fine here, he murmurs uncertain. Verushka huffs. No, it's not fine. She used some online trick to print that. She turns to the passengers like a performer searching for applause. See? She's always working the angles. Her words spark murmurs. I can feel the shame pressing down, heavy and hot. It's not the passengers I'm embarrassed by. It's that this is my sister. I glance at the flight attendant, who looks like she wants to disappear. Her eyes fall on my bag, where the tag from my Platinum Elite membership glints under the cabin light. She stares at it, then at me, then back at Verushka, as if trying to put together a puzzle that doesn't fit. Excuse me, she says quietly to the officer. Her name is on our system. She's a Platinum member. Verushka stiffens. That can't be right. Check again. The attendant hesitates. It's right here. A murmur runs through the cabin. I can feel the air shifting, people trying to decide which version of a story to believe. I take a slow breath. Officer, I say gently, you can verify it through your internal system. My name is Lily Washington. The officer nods, speaking into his radio. Control, this is Gate 12, verifying passenger Washington, C2A. Over. While he waits for the reply, my phone buzzes inside my purse. I glance down. The message reads, confirmed. He's on the way. I exhale slowly, open my phone beneath the tray table, and pull up the app that changed everything, the shareholder portal for Washington Capital Holdings. My company, my signature, my leverage. A red button glows in the corner, executive escalation, active contract authority. I tap it once. There's no sound, no fanfare. Just a quiet pulse of confirmation on the screen. A simple act that will ripple far beyond this cabin. Verushka doesn't notice. She's still mid-performance. You always think someone's going to save you, she sneers. Well, not this time. Not daddy, not your money, not your charm. This time, people see who you really are. The irony nearly makes me laugh. I lean back, fold my hands again, and meet her eyes. Maybe that's exactly what's happening. The officer's radio crackles. He turns slightly away to listen. I catch pieces of it. Verify. Passenger. Priority. Notify captain. When he looks back, his expression has changed completely. He straightens, glances at the attendant, and then at Verushka. Ma'am, he says carefully, I'm going to ask you to wait near the galley for a moment. The captain wants to review something personally. What? Her voice rises an octave. No, you've got this backwards. She's. Please, ma'am, he repeats. His tone leaves no room for argument. Verushka's face goes pale. She looks at me, then at the officer, then back at me. What did you do? Nothing you didn't start, I reply softly. The murmurs around us grow. A businessman mutters. I think she's in trouble. Someone else says, good. That woman was out of line. I keep my gaze steady on my sister. She's trembling now, the realization dawning that whatever she unleashed is no longer under her control. The sound of approaching footsteps fills the cabin. A crew member I haven't seen before, a woman in her 30s with a badge that reads Operations Supervisor, steps in. Her eyes scan the aisle until they land on me. She blinks, recognition hitting like a lightning strike. Oh my God, she whispers, hand flying to her mouth. That's her. Verushka frowns. That's who? The woman doesn't answer. She rushes past the officers toward the cockpit, muttering something into her headset. The silence that follows feels electric. I can see the confusion on Verushka's face, the dawning horror in her posture. She opens her mouth to speak, but no sound comes out. You wanted everyone to see me, I say quietly. Now they will. Her eyes narrow. This isn't over, Lily. No, I say, calm as still water. It's just starting. The officer's radio crackles again. Captain requests hold on departure. Situation under executive review. Passengers shift uncomfortably. Someone jokes. Guess we're not taking off yet. Another person sighs. I rest my palms on the armrests, grounding myself. The adrenaline has faded, replaced by something colder, clarity. For years, I believe silence kept peace. I mistook tolerance for grace. But today, I understand. Silence is only powerful when it's intentional. Verushka's still standing near the galley, pacing now, whispering to a fellow attendant who won't look her in the eye. The tension in her shoulders tells me she knows the hierarchy has shifted. The flight attendant who first checked my ticket passes by and stops beside me. Her tone is gentle. Ma'am, can I get you some water? Yes, I say softly. Thank you. As she walks away, Verushka mutters. She doesn't need water. She needs a reality check. I turn my head, catching her gaze. You should sit down before you make another mistake. The cabin door opens slightly, just enough for the operations supervisor to reappear. She leans toward the officers, whispering something I can't hear. One of them nods. The supervisor looks at me, her expression a mix of respect and caution. Ms. Washington, she says, addressing me formally now, Captain Rodriguez will be out shortly. We're resolving the matter. Thank you, I reply. Verushka stares at her, incredulous. Ms. Washington? She's my sister. The supervisor hesitates, then answers. Then you should have known better. The cabin falls silent again. Verushka sits down hard in the nearest empty seat, eyes wide and wet but refusing to break. The hum of the aircraft systems fills the space. Somewhere behind us, a phone buzzes, someone checking the news already, maybe guessing at the story forming in real time. I take the glass of water the attendant brings me, sip once, and place it on the tray. My hand is steady. My heartbeat isn't racing anymore. I look at Verushka one last time. If this was about respect, I say, my voice low but firm, you could have earned it. But you chose to make it about power. That was your mistake. The intercom crackles. A deep voice fills the cabin. This is your captain speaking. We are temporarily delaying departure due to an urgent operational review. Thank you for your patience. I close my eyes for a moment, feeling the weight of every year, every unspoken word, finally lift just a little. The balance has shifted. She knows it. I know it. The captain's announcement echoes through the cabin, his voice calm but commanding. The words linger, urgent operational review, as the passengers start to whisper. Some sigh, frustrated at the delay. Others lean into the gossip, hungry for answers. I sit motionless, my hands resting lightly on my lap, my heart steady. For once, I'm not the one explaining myself. Across the aisle, Verushka blinks rapidly. She tries to keep her composure, her professional mask slipping piece by piece. She's not used to being questioned. I've seen her face hundreds of times like this, the moment she realizes the spotlight has turned into a heat lamp. The cabin door opens, and a figure steps through. Captain Rodriguez. I recognize him immediately, his salt and pepper hair, the way his uniform fits with perfect precision, his posture straight as a ruler. He doesn't look at anyone else. His eyes land on me. Ms. Washington? His tone changes mid-sentence. The stiffness in his shoulders softens, and I see it, the flicker of recognition. The same name that used to open boardroom doors now freezes an entire cabin. Yes, I answer evenly. That's me. He hesitates, his gaze darting to Verushka, who's still standing like she owns the air. Could I see your ticket again, ma'am? He asks politely. I hand it to him without a word. His eyes scan it once, then twice, before he looks back at me. Understood. Give me a moment. He steps aside, speaking quietly into his radio. I catch fragments. Executive tier priority contract holder. Passengers are listening. Phones rise discreetly, pretending to text but recording every second. Verushka's cheeks flush a deep red. Captain, with respect, she blurts out. This passenger, this woman, is lying. She's impersonating someone she's not. The captain lifts a hand, silencing her. Ms. Washington's credentials have been verified internally. His voice is calm, but it lands like thunder. Her eyes widen. Verified. He nods. Our corporate system confirms her as an executive-level shareholder in Skylight Airlines' parent company. The silence is absolute. I could hear a pin drop, or maybe it's her phone slipping from her hand, clattering across the aisle like punctuation. The passengers gasp. She stares at me as if I've pulled off an impossible magic trick. You what? I look at her, not with anger, but with something colder, truth. 12.3%, I say softly. Washington Capital Holdings. We manage Skylight's long-term fleet financing and shareholder agreements. Her lips part, but no sound comes out. She sinks into the nearest seat, stunned. The captain clears his throat, uncomfortable with the spectacle. Ms. Washington, on behalf of Skylight Airlines, I'd like to personally apologize for any mistreatment you've experienced today. He glances at Varushka, who's now staring at the floor, her breath uneven. A woman 2 rows behind us mutters, 12%? She owns part of this plane. Someone else chuckles nervously. I don't bask in it. I don't need to. This isn't triumph, it's revelation. 4 years, I was invisible to my own family. Now they see me only because power forced them to look. As the captain hands back my ticket, a flicker of memory breaks through, the smell of vanilla cake, the hum of cheap birthday candles. I'm 11 again. Mom's sitting at the kitchen table, wrapping paper scattered everywhere. I spent months saving for that necklace. Tiny pearls on a silver chain. It wasn't much, but to me it was everything. I wanted her to see that I noticed her, that I cared. Then Varushka walked in, holding the gift box like it belonged to her. Look what I got you, Mom, she said brightly. Mom gasped, smiling with that warmth she rarely showed. You always think of everyone, she said, hugging her. I remember standing in the doorway, giftless, invisible. I swallowed the lump in my throat and pretended I'd forgotten her birthday. That night, when I heard them laughing in the kitchen, I told myself it didn't matter. But it did. It still does. The sound of the captain's voice brings me back to the present. Ms. Washington, he says again, quieter this time, please let me assure you this situation is being handled. I nod once. I know. Varushka finally speaks, her voice shaking. How could you do this to me? To you. I repeat slowly. You've humiliated me in front of strangers. You called security on your own sister. She looks up, eyes glossy. You've been hiding who you are. You could have told me. And what difference would that have made? I ask. You never wanted to see me as anything but small. Even now, it's not me you care about. It's the idea of losing control. Her lower lip trembles, but the words that come out aren't remorse. They're desperation. Mom's going to hear about this. She'll know what you did. I laugh quietly, not cruelly, but in disbelief. She already does. She just won't admit it. The captain shifts uncomfortably, clearly wishing he could vanish from this family storm. Ladies, he begins carefully, perhaps we can. Captain, I interrupt gently. You've done enough. I appreciate your professionalism. He inclines his head, grateful for the exit. We're reviewing immediate personnel adjustments, he says before turning to leave. I glance around the cabin. The passengers are still watching. Some look sorry. Some look entertained. I meet none of their eyes. Varushka stays seated, staring at her phone on the floor but not bending to pick it up. I think she's afraid of the noise it'll make in the silence she created. I reach for my water, my hand steady. For what it's worth, I say softly, you could have earned my respect. You didn't need to steal it. She doesn't answer. Her gaze is empty, fixed on some far point beyond me. The captain's voice returns over the intercom. Ms. Washington, we deeply apologize. We're reviewing immediate personnel adjustments. The whole cabin hears it this time. The weight of those words lands like judgment. I turn my head, watching Varushka flinch. Start with her, I say quietly. She jerks her head up, but I'm not looking at her anymore. Out the window, the sun is climbing higher, glinting off the tarmac. It's a new day, and for the first time, I don't feel the need to shrink. The captain gives a single nod. That's all it takes. The air in the cabin thickens until it feels like even sound is afraid to move. A phone dings somewhere behind me, the faint buzz of an incoming text slicing through the silence. Varushka stands stiffly in the aisle, her eyes darting toward the cockpit as if she can find a lifeline there. I watch her, steady, my pulse calm in a way it hasn't been in years. Then footsteps echo up the jet bridge, measured, deliberate. A woman in a tailored charcoal suit steps inside, her badge flashing under the cabin lights. Corporate HR, Skylight Airlines. Her expression is composed, but her pace tells me this wasn't on her schedule today. She stops halfway down the aisle and speaks quietly to the captain. He listens, nods once, then gestures toward Varushka. Ms. Washington, please remain seated, he says to me before turning back to the HR officer. Passengers are whispering now, leaning into the aisle to catch the drama. I hear someone murmur, "Is this still about the slap?" Another replies, "You can't hit someone in first class and keep your job." The HR officer clears her throat. "Verushka Ramos," she says formally, using my sister's married name. "Effective immediately, you are placed on suspension pending internal review." A single sheet of paper appears in her hand, crisp and white, carrying all the authority of a signature that outranks Verushka's pride. For a heartbeat, my sister doesn't move. Then she lets out a small, strangled laugh. "You can't be serious," she says, voice cracking on the last word. "This is a misunderstanding. I was protecting company standards. You can't." The officer doesn't raise her voice. "Please gather your things, Ms. Ramos." The weight of those words ripples through the cabin. A few gasps. A man's whispered, "Damn." I don't gloat. I don't even smile. But inside, something in me exhales. A quiet, measured release. Years of holding my breath now turning into stillness. Verushka's mask begins to crumble. "You're firing me because of her?" She points a shaking hand toward me, her voice rising. "She's the reason this happened. She came in here acting like she owned the place." The HR officer interrupts gently. "She does." The sentence lands like a stone in a still pond. Conversations die instantly. Verushka stares at the woman, blinking rapidly, trying to find her footing. "What are you talking about?" "You're aware Skylight's majority fleet is under contract with Washington Capital Holdings, correct?" The HR officer's tone is polite but sharp. "This passenger is one of the company's executive partners." My sister's face goes slack. "That's not possible," she whispers. "It's verified," the officer says simply. There it is, the truth she never wanted. The same truth I never needed to weaponize until now. Her expression twists. "This is revenge. You wanted to humiliate me." I shake my head slowly. "No, Verushka. You did that all by yourself." Her breathing becomes uneven. She turns toward the passengers, desperate for validation. "You all saw it. I was doing my job. She disrespected me, challenged my authority." A woman across the aisle speaks up, voice steady. "You slapped her. We all saw it." The cabin murmurs in agreement. Someone mutters, "That was way out of line." Verushka tries to laugh again, but it comes out broken. "You people don't understand," she says, voice trembling. "She's been undermining me my whole life." No one answers. Even the HR officer looks away. My sister's words hang in the air like smoke with nowhere to go. I stay silent, hands folded. Silence has become my armor now. The HR officer nods to the captain. "She'll need to deplane," she says quietly. The captain signals to the officers near the door. They move forward, not aggressive, just final. Verushka's panic spikes. "You can't do this. I'm your top supervisor. You'll regret this." The officer doesn't flinch. "Please, Ms. Ramos." She grabs her bag, motions jerky, muttering under her breath. "This isn't fair. None of it is fair." No one answers her. As she moves toward the exit, a ping sounds from someone's phone 2 rows back. Then another, and another. The murmur of digital activity swells like a wave. "Is that the video?" someone whispers. Within seconds, passengers are showing screens to each other, her slap caught from 3 different angles, her words crystal clear. "Trash doesn't belong in this seat." The view count climbs in real time. 10,000. 12. 19. I glance down at my own phone. My team has already texted. Viral in under 10 minutes. PR department in panic mode. I lock the screen without replying. This isn't satisfaction, it's inevitability. Verushka finally reaches the door. Her face is blotchy, her voice hoarse. She turns one last time. "You think this makes you better than me? That's some fancy title erases where we came from. Mom still thinks you're nothing." Her words sting, not because they're true, but because she believes them. I meet her gaze. Maybe Mom's wrong. She opens her mouth to answer, but the HR officer gently guides her through the door. The sound of her heels fades down the jet bridge. The cabin door seals shut with a hiss. Silence returns, full, thick and honest. The captain clears his throat over the intercom. "Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your patience. We'll resume departure shortly." People shift in their seats, murmuring softly. The adrenaline has drained from the air, leaving only curiosity and awkward sympathy. The woman across the aisle looks at me. "You okay?" she asks quietly. I nod. "I will be." She smiles faintly. "Good. You handled that with grace most people don't have." I don't know how to respond, so I just give her a polite nod and turn back toward the window. The tarmac outside glows under the afternoon sun. Planes taxi slowly in the distance, engines humming like a heartbeat. The flight attendant passes by again, stopping beside me. "Ma'am, would you like another drink?" "Just water," I say. "Cold, please." When she brings it, she hesitates, then whispers, "You didn't say a single cruel thing back to her." "That's not my job," I answer. The water is cold, sharp on my tongue. It grounds me. Behind me, passengers scroll through their feeds, trading disbelief and sympathy in equal measure. I catch phrases floating in the air. "She hit her own sister? Guess karma flies first class too." The irony almost makes me smile. Almost. My phone buzzes again, a message from Skylight's communications director. "We're issuing a public statement. You're trending across platforms. Would you like to comment?" I type a single word back, "No." The captain's voice returns over the intercom. "Cabin crew, prepare for departure." Engines roar to life. The plane vibrates underfoot. I fasten my seatbelt and close my eyes. Through the hum, I can still hear Varushka's parting words. "Mom still thinks you're nothing." 4 years. I chased that approval. Every scholarship, every promotion, every sleepless night was a plea she never heard. And now, I realize I don't need her validation to breathe. The plane begins to roll forward, inching toward the runway. I lean back, feeling the vibration under my spine, the software of air conditioning smoothing the edges of the tension. I let my lips curve into the smallest of smiles, tired, maybe, but real. Her words didn't scream. They didn't need to. They dropped quietly and landed with the precision of a knife that knew exactly where to cut. "Mom still thinks you're nothing." I didn't flinch. I didn't react. But the sting wasn't on my face anymore. It settled somewhere deeper, far beneath skin and status. Now, with Varushka gone, the cabin begins to breathe again. A child 2 rows behind me asks his father if we're still flying to New York. The man assures him that we are. The hum of the plane returns like nothing happened. But everything happened. I lean my head against the window. Outside, the sun plays across the tarmac in patches of gold. The engines have started again. The flight attendant does her walkthrough, moving calmly, professionally, as if she hadn't just witnessed a personal implosion. I don't look at her. I don't look at anyone. I look down at my hands, still folded in my lap. The same hands that used to bake cakes no one ate, that held textbooks through sleepless nights, that wrote checks with no signature at the end except mine. They've always been mine, even when no one else claimed me. My phone buzzes in my bag. I ignore it. Instead, my mind drifts to 6 months ago. A Friday night. I was at my apartment in Manhattan, opening a bottle of Pinot I'd saved for a rare moment of peace. The cork had just popped when my phone lit up with a picture. It was a group shot. Varushka, my mother, my aunt, even the cousins who never returned texts. All of them smiling, standing under a Bon Voyage banner on a cruise deck. Everyone but me. I hadn't been invited. There was no email, no phone call, no text I'd missed. Just silence. Digital evidence of a family that went on vacation and left one of its members out. I remember calling Varushka the next morning, not angry, confused. "Did I miss something?" Her answer was casual, effortless. "You're always working, Lily. We didn't want to bother you. You know how you are." That phrase, "you know how you are," it always came up when someone wanted to excuse something hurtful. Like I was an inconvenience to be worked around, not a sister to be considered. I'd laugh then. A hollow laugh, the kind you offer when you don't know where to put your grief. "Yeah, I guess that's true," I said. I never brought it up again. Now, 30,000 feet in the air, I sit in a seat I paid for, with miles I earned, after building something from the ground up. And still I feel 12, still outside the picture. Not because I'm invisible, because I've been intentionally blurred. The captain makes an announcement. We'll be taxiing shortly. A man takes Varushka's empty seat beside me. He's older, gray at the temples, polite smile. "Afternoon," he says simply. "Afternoon," I reply. He doesn't ask questions. He doesn't bring up what just happened. And for that, I'm quietly grateful. The plane begins to roll. The cabin shakes slightly, vibrations dancing up through my shoes and into my spine. I close my eyes and feel the shift. And I think of her, my mother. She had been there this morning. I'd spotted her near gate 12, standing near the Hudson newsstand, sipping coffee from a paper cup. She'd seen Varushka enter the gate like she was walking onto a stage. She'd seen the slap, the yelling. She didn't move. She didn't speak. She turned away. I remember locking eyes with her for a second, 1 second, and she looked through me, like I was a stranger on a subway platform. A small part of me, even after everything, expected her to step in. Say, that's enough, Verushka. Say, I saw what you did. Say anything. But she didn't. And that silence said more than any words could. She picked her side. Again. And maybe she never left it. I think about every holiday dinner where I was the one bringing the casserole and the wine. Every family reunion I flew into, gifts in tow, where my name was misspelled on the welcome board. Every hospital bill I paid from 3 states away. The ones that showed up in Mom's name, but were covered with mine. I never asked for thanks. I didn't need applause. I just wanted to be part of something I didn't have to earn. But in my family, love has always been a conditional privilege. A currency. And I was never flush enough to buy my way in. Not until now. Now, ironically, my worth was undeniable. But not because of who I am, because of what I own. That realization doesn't make me angry. Not anymore. It makes me tired. The plane takes off, wheels lifting from earth like something shedding weight. The man beside me takes out a book. I open the window shade and watch the city get smaller. And in that moment, I decide something. I'm done. I'm done explaining my place at the table. Done asking for a seat in rooms I helped build. The next time they forget to invite me, I won't check Facebook for proof. I won't wonder what I did wrong. I won't call to ask. I'll send flowers to the event with a card that simply says, enjoy. Because I finally understand being excluded by them is no longer a wound. It's confirmation I no longer belong where I never truly fit. And that's okay. The cabin light dims as we pass through the clouds. I close my eyes, just for a moment. They'll never see what they threw away, I whisper to myself. But I will never let them throw me away again. The hum of the engines becomes a steady song in my ears. I exhale, slow and deliberate, letting the vibration of the plane fill the hollow space Verushka's words left behind. Outside the window, the clouds spread endlessly, soft, weightless, untouchable. It's quiet again, but quiet doesn't always mean peace. Sometimes it's just the sound of everyone pretending nothing happened. The seat beside me is still empty. The man who sat there earlier must have changed seats, and now the space feels like a pause, an unfinished sentence between two sisters. I reach up, adjust the vent above my head, and close my eyes. I'm not angry anymore. Anger's too heavy to carry this far. But the ache stays, a stubborn hum beneath the silence. I unlock my phone. Notifications flicker across the screen. Messages from my assistant, a few from colleagues, even one from the legal team about the incident. I scroll past all of them until I land on a folder I rarely open, one labeled family. Inside are screenshots. Screenshots that Cyan sent me months ago. She texted them late one night, saying only, you should see this. The first image loads. The family group chat. Washington's, only. The first thing I notice is that my name isn't in the list of participants. I scroll through the messages. Pictures of barbecues, birthday cakes, church events. My niece graduating. My nephew's first car. My mother's anniversary dinner. The same circle of faces, smiling, tagged together. And then there it is. My name. Not highlighted. Not lovingly mentioned. Just tossed in like small talk. She thinks she's better than us just because she works in finance, Verushka had written. Always so distant. Probably too busy for real family anyway. Below it, my mother's reply. A single line. She always was the selfish one. The screenshot blurs, slightly as my grip on the phone tightens. For a second, I can almost feel the weight of my own absence, the way they erase me even when they talk about me. I'd laughed it off when Cyan sent them. Pretended it didn't matter. But here, 30,000 feet in the air, it does. It matters because no matter how much I've achieved, the people who raised me only measure worth in how well you stay small. The flight attendant walks by, checking seatbelts. I nod politely. She smiles but looks nervous, probably afraid to speak after everything that happened earlier. I can't blame her. When she moves on, I feel a gentle tap on my shoulder. I turn, half expecting another stranger with questions. But it's not a stranger. It's Cyan. She's standing there, same calm eyes, same composed smile. She must have been sitting a few rows back this entire time. Without a word, she slips a folded napkin onto my tray and steps away before I can respond. I look down. In neat, looping handwriting, it says, "You didn't deserve that. And you weren't alone." A lump rises in my throat before I can stop it. It's simple. No drama. No pity. Just truth written in ink. I glance back to where she sits. She doesn't look at me, doesn't wave. Just returns to her book, as if nothing extraordinary happened. It's such a small thing, but it breaks something loose inside me, something I didn't realize I was still holding. I whisper softly, "Thank you," though she can't hear me. And then I remember. The first time we met. A tech conference in Chicago 6 years ago. 2 women of color sitting at the same table in a sea of suits. Both of us mistaken for assistants instead of executives. We laughed about it over cheap coffee in the hotel lobby. She'd said, "Power isn't about being louder than them. It's about knowing you don't have to be." At the time, I thought it sounded poetic. Now I know it's survival. That was the night we stayed up talking until 2 in the morning about families, ambition, faith, and the exhausting work of proving you belong where you already are. It's strange how some people see you instantly, while others spend a lifetime pretending they can't. The plane bumps slightly as we hit a patch of turbulence. Drinks wobble, passengers murmur, and I realize my hands aren't shaking anymore. I take out my phone again, this time opening my messages. I start typing, "Thank you for seeing me." Before I hit send, her reply appears. "Always. That's all. Just one word. And somehow it's enough." I smile, closing my phone, feeling the kind of warmth that doesn't announce itself. It just lingers quietly, reminding you that not every connection needs to be loud to be real. The captain's voice comes through the speaker, calm and steady. "Ladies and gentlemen, we'll be experiencing light turbulence for the next few minutes. Please remain seated with your seatbelts fastened." I obey, more out of habit than caution. Outside, the clouds shift, thin light pouring through them like liquid silver. The horizon looks endless. For the first time in years, I don't feel trapped in that family narrative of guilt and duty. I feel outside it, watching it fade below me. The hum of the engines evens out again, soft and rhythmic. The passenger beside Cyan asks if she's traveling for business. She smiles politely and says, something like that. I know she won't mention me. That's the thing about real allies. They don't make it about themselves. They just stand quietly where you can see them when you need to. I lean back in my seat, finally letting my muscles loosen. The edges of my exhaustion settle into something gentler, acceptance, maybe. The flight attendant returns, offering snacks. I shake my head. "I'm fine," I tell her. She nods. "You handled everything with grace," she whispers, as if confessing something private. I smile faintly. "Grace is expensive," I say, "but it pays well." She laughs softly and moves on. The cabin grows dimmer as we ascend through another layer of clouds. The air is smooth now. I close my eyes. The ache is still there, but it doesn't hurt the same way. It's quieter, like a bruise that's healing. For a few moments, I let myself rest. Then my phone vibrates again. I sigh, half expecting another corporate message, maybe another media inquiry about the incident. I reach for it, glance at the screen. The sender's name freezes me in place. Mom. The vibration of my phone sits like a small pulse in my palm. I stare at the name on the screen, Mom, and my breath catches. For a moment, I don't move. My thumb hovers above the screen, but I can't open it yet. I know this rhythm too well. That brief flicker of hope, the one that always ends in disappointment. Still, a part of me aches to believe this time will be different. That maybe, just maybe, she'll say something human. I swipe to read. The message is short, clipped, written the way she always texted when she didn't want to sound emotional. "We don't air our laundry in public. Your father is very stressed. Don't escalate things. No greeting. No, are you all right?" No mention of Verushka's slap, or the humiliation that unfolded in front of strangers. Just a warning wrapped in a reprimand. I read it again, slower this time, as if a second look might reveal something I missed. But the words stay cold. Don't escalate things. Translation, don't embarrass the family. It hits me harder than the slap ever could. I stare at the screen, watching the tiny gray text blur and sharpen as the plane tilts slightly. It's strange how disappointment can feel both heavy and hollow at the same time. I wait for anger to come, but it doesn't. What comes instead is exhaustion, the kind that doesn't ask for release, just quiet. I type a reply, then delete it, then type another, delete again. What can I say that would matter? I didn't start it. She hit me first. The truth has never been enough in this family. Her words loop in my mind. Your father is very stressed. That line softens me, despite everything. Because Dad, he's the only thread left that connects me to whatever is left of home. I can still see him the way he used to be, sitting on the front porch after dinner, legs crossed, reading glasses perched at the end of his nose. He wasn't affectionate with words, but love came through in quiet gestures, the way he checked the oil in my car before a long drive, or slipped cash into my bag just in case. He never said "I'm proud of you," but when I graduated, I saw it in his eyes. He didn't raise his voice when Mom and Verushka dismissed my choices. He'd just sigh and say, "She'll find her way." And I did. But the irony is, I walked so far away that coming back feels like trespassing. The cabin lights dim as the plane begins its slow descent. I catch my reflection in the window, tired eyes, faint circles under them. Success can buy comfort, not peace. A flight attendant moves quietly down the aisle, collecting trash. I shake my head when she offers to take my cup. She smiles politely and moves on. I look back at the text, then at my reflection. "You're right, Mom," I whisper. "We don't air our laundry in public. But that doesn't mean you get to hang it all on me." My chest tightens as another memory surfaces, the one I've avoided for decades. I was 11. It was my mother's birthday, and I'd spent 3 months saving up my allowance to buy her something special, a small necklace with a single charm shaped like a lily. I'd wrapped it carefully in blue paper, the way I'd seen her do for others. But when I came home from school that day, the box was gone. Verushka was already in the kitchen, smiling proudly as Mom opened her gift. "Do you like it?" she asked, eyes shining. Mom gasped, tears welling. "It's beautiful, sweetheart," she said, pulling her into a hug. "You always think of me." And me. I stood in the doorway, invisible again. I could have said something. I could have told her the truth. But all I did was smile weakly when Verushka turned and said, "You didn't get her anything? That's okay, maybe next year." I never mentioned it again. Maybe that was the first time I learned silence could protect dignity, even when it hurt like hell. Now, as I sit in this expensive seat, on a plane that's part of a company I partly own, I realize not much has changed. Mom still doesn't see me. Not really. She sees what she wants, a problem to be managed, not a person to be understood. I scroll back to her message, finger hovering over the screen. For a fleeting second, I imagine a different version. I saw what happened. "I'm sorry." Or even simpler, "Are you okay?" But those messages exist only in the world where mothers don't pick favorites and daughters aren't compared like flawed products. I delete her text. The whole thread disappears into digital silence. The gesture feels final, not angry, just clean. I close my phone, press it face down on the tray and breathe. The hum of the engine steadies me. My body unclenches, little by little. Outside, the sky begins to break open, streaks of orange and lavender painting the clouds as the sun dips lower. We're getting close to landing. Somewhere below those clouds is Atlanta, and somewhere in that city, my father sits in a hospital bed, maybe watching the news, maybe hearing about the incident. I wonder if he'll understand what really happened, or if Mom will shield him from it, claiming it's nothing to worry about. Either way, I know what I have to do. Protect my peace. Protect what's left of me. The intercom buzzes. "Ladies and gentlemen, we'll begin our initial descent into Atlanta shortly. Please fasten your seatbelts." The voice fades into white noise. I glance out the window, my thoughts quieter now. Not gone, but quiet enough to coexist with the sound of engines and breathing passengers. When the wheels finally touch down, there's a soft thud, then applause from a few tired travelers. I can't help but smile at the small absurdity of it. People cheering for landings, as if survival itself deserves acknowledgement. Maybe it does. The seatbelt sign dings off. Passengers begin unbuckling, stretching, reaching for bags. I stay seated for a moment, letting them rush past. I'm not in a hurry to return to the world waiting beyond this cabin. The same flight attendant who had been kind earlier walks over, her voice low. "Ms. Washington?" "Yes." "There's someone waiting for you at the gate," she says, smiling faintly. "He asked for you by name." I blink, confused. "Who?" She checks the note in her hand. "Dr. Thurman Washington." My breath catches. "My father." She nods gently. "Yes, ma'am. He said he wanted to see you himself." I stare at her, trying to process it. My heart trips over itself, unsure whether to brace or to hope. The passengers keep filing out, the aisle clearing. I grab my bag, stand slowly, and adjust my jacket. My phone is still silent on the tray. I don't pick it up. For once, I don't need a message to tell me what comes next. The terminal lights aren't as harsh as I expected. The late afternoon sun filters through the tall glass panels, softening everything it touches. Travelers hustling past, the click of rolling suitcases, the murmurs of half-finished phone calls. I follow the flight attendant down the jet bridge, still half expecting her to correct herself. But no, not a driver, not a corporate liaison, not someone from my legal team. My father. He's sitting in a wheelchair near the seating area by the windows. A light tan blanket draped across his legs, his brown wool cap pulled down just slightly over his ears. One hand grips the armrest, the other holds a coffee cup with a trembling grip. I stop walking. My breath catches. He sees me before I speak. His eyes meet mine. There's no judgment in them, no hesitation. Just a tired kind of warmth, like he's been waiting a long time to say something. Lily! It's not a question. It's not even a greeting. It's more like a release. He shifts forward, slowly, his body visibly aching with effort. The nurse beside him leans in, clearly about to protest, but he waves her off. I said I'd stand. He grips the handles of the chair and pulls himself upright, unsteady but determined. I rush forward to help, instinctively reaching out, but he catches me in an embrace before I can offer anything. And just like that, I'm 11 again, standing in the middle of a birthday party where no one said my name. This hug doesn't erase everything. It doesn't change years of silence, but it cracks something open. You didn't deserve any of that, he whispers near my ear. I inhale sharply. My chin quivers. I press my cheek into his shoulder, afraid to move, afraid if I do, I'll start sobbing and never stop. He holds me like he's trying to say 1,000 things at once. Things he never said when I left Atlanta. Things he didn't say when I earned my first title, or sent money home that no one mentioned. This hug says all of it. When we part, he looks at me with an expression I rarely saw from him growing up. Softness without conditions. Come on, he says, motioning back to the chair. Let's get out of this place. Feels like a damn fish tank. The ride back to his apartment is quiet. We don't turn on the radio. I sit beside him in the back seat of a rideshare, watching the Atlanta skyline pass. He sips his coffee, and for once, we sit in silence that doesn't feel like distance. Once inside the apartment, the nurse disappears into the kitchen. Dad eases himself into his recliner. The place smells like old books and eucalyptus oil. A framed photo of me, much younger, high school maybe, sits on the hallway shelf. I didn't know he still had it. We talk about little things at first. His physical therapy, the stubborn neighbor downstairs, the tomato plants he's trying to grow on the balcony. And then, somewhere between a story about his nurse's awful banana bread and a pause that lasts just a bit too long, I say, there's something I've never told you. He doesn't turn his head, but I know he's listening. I had a chance once to take credit, a big panel at an industry conference. They asked me to represent the firm. All eyes on me, and I told them no. He finally looks at me. Why? I laugh, but it doesn't sound like joy. Because I thought it would make me look arrogant. I thought Mom would say I was showing off. I thought Verushka would twist it into some tale of me stepping on people to get ahead. He nods slowly, then, without any fanfare, says, You let them write your story too long. I don't cry. I nod. The weight of his words settles in my chest like an anchor, but not the kind that holds you down. The kind that finally keeps you grounded. It's nearly dusk by the time I set my bag in the guest room. He insists I stay the night. No sense running back to a hotel when you've got a bed here, he says. I agree. For once, I don't argue. I'm brushing my teeth when the doorbell rings. I hear Dad call out from the living room. It's open. My stomach drops. Something about the silence that follows, the lack of casual footsteps, the tension in the air, tells me who it is. I step out into the hallway, just in time to see Verushka walk through the door. She's not in uniform. Her face is bare, makeup smudged around her eyes. She's holding a tote bag too tightly, like it's the only thing anchoring her. Dad sits up straighter, surprised. You came. She nods, eyes flicking toward me. I didn't know Lily was here. I cross my arms. Surprise. She takes a breath, walks forward, and without warning, throws her arms around me. The gesture is jarring. For a moment, my body doesn't react. Then, she leans in, whispers low enough that only I can hear. This isn't over. You humiliated me. Her breath hits my neck like ice. I don't push her. I don't yell. I simply step back. The room is quiet. Dad blinks. Is everything okay? I straighten my shoulders. No. Verushka's face shifts instantly, tears welling up, voice cracking. Daddy, I'm sorry. I'm just overwhelmed. I lost everything today. Theatrics. Timing. She's always been good at this. He reaches out to touch her hand. You should rest. I step between them. My voice is calm but steady. If she stays, I go. Dad hesitates, just a second, long enough to make me wonder. But then he sighs. Then she leaves. Verushka glares at me, but her tears stop immediately. Her hands ball into fists. Her mouth tightens, but she says nothing. She picks up her tote, turns and walks out. The door closes behind her with a heavy click. The silence that follows feels cleaner. Dad doesn't ask questions. He leans back, turns on the news, and pats the couch beside him. I sit down, tuck my legs under me, and we watch coverage of a storm that's nowhere near us. Later, in the guest room, I sit on the edge of the bed and stare at an old photo on the dresser. I recognize it immediately. A birthday party. I must have been 5 or 6. The others are huddled around the cake. I'm off to the side, smiling but barely in frame. I trace my younger self with one finger. I see you now, I whisper. I won't let them erase you again. I wake before sunrise. The apartment is quiet except for the hum of the refrigerator and the faint ticking of a clock in the hallway. The air smells faintly of coffee. My father must have brewed a pot before going back to bed. I pull on a sweater and walk into the kitchen. The window over the sink faces east, and light from the city, just beginning to stretch its way into morning, paints the countertops gold. There's a wall of framed photographs in the living room. I've walked past it my entire life, but this morning I stop. Every frame tells the same story. My mother smiling beside Varushka, my father standing tall and proud, family gatherings, graduations, Sunday dinners. I'm not in a single one. I stare at the empty spaces between those frames, the gaps that once made me feel small. Today, they don't sting the same way. I open my bag, pull out the picture I printed at the drugstore last night, a shot of my father and me outside the airport, laughing at something the nurse had said. It's slightly overexposed. The color's uneven, but it's ours. I tape it in the corner of the wall, where the light hits first. When Dad shuffles out of his room, still in his robe, he notices it. He doesn't say anything at first. Then, with a faint smile, he murmurs, "About time." That simple acknowledgement feels like oxygen. By mid-morning, I'm back in my hotel room in Buckhead, packing my things for the flight home. A knock comes at the door. It's a courier, envelope in hand, the Skylight Airlines logo printed neatly in the corner. I sign for it, knowing what it is before I open it. Inside is a letter of apology printed on expensive cardstock. Corporate words, polished and cautious. On behalf of Skylight Airlines, we sincerely regret the incident that occurred on board Flight 274. It goes on, detailing how corrective measures have been taken, and our commitment to equity and accountability remains unwavering. Enclosed is a check, hush money, disguised as a settlement. I stare at it for a long time before folding it back into the envelope. Then I call the contact listed at the bottom, a vice president whose name I've seen on several contracts. "Ms. Washington," he says as soon as he picks up, voice warm and wary. "We wanted to express our deepest apologies. Of course, we'd prefer this matter to stay internal." I let him talk until he runs out of rehearsed phrases. Then I say, "You don't have to buy my silence. You can fix the system." He hesitates. "What do you mean?" "I don't want a check," I tell him. "I want policy reform. Training. Real oversight. You'll need to put that in writing." He's quiet for a beat. That's unconventional. So is getting slapped in first class. I can almost hear him swallow through the line. "Understood, Ms. Washington. We'll follow up." When I hang up, I feel lighter. The week passes quickly. I spend one more dinner with Dad, helping him reorganize his medication and promising I'll visit again soon. He pats my hand and says, "Don't wait for someone to ask. Just come home when you want." I smile. Maybe I finally will. Back in New York, the city greets me with its usual chaos, sirens, traffic, the smell of pretzels from the cart downstairs. Monday morning arrives with a sky so clear it feels like a reset. I stand before the mirror, adjusting my navy suit. The email came 3 days ago, an invitation to speak on a panel. The same one that turned me down last year. I said yes before I could talk myself out of it. The conference center hums with energy, rows of people in tailored suits, badges gleaming under fluorescent lights. When I step onto the stage, the moderator introduces me as Lily Washington, CEO of Washington Capital Holdings. The words echo through the room, and I feel the tiniest tremor of satisfaction. I take my seat beside a row of men twice my age. They smile politely, probably expecting another round of corporate jargon. Instead, I talk about accountability, dignity, and the cost of silence. About how professionalism too often disguises bias, how companies spend fortunes on optics, and pennies on people. When I finish, the room is quiet. Then applause. Real, sustained applause. Later, as the crowd filters out, a young woman approaches me, dark curls, nervous energy. "You don't know me," she says. "But I was on that flight. I didn't speak up then, and I should have. But I want you to know what you did changed how I see things." Her voice shakes a little, but her eyes are steady. I shake her hand. Then it wasn't for nothing. 2 days later, a small envelope arrives at my office. The handwriting on the front is unfamiliar but elegant. Inside is a card from Sion. Because of you, I recorded it this time. Because of you, I didn't delete it. Because of you, I believe we can win. I read it twice, then set it on my desk beside the framed photo of Dad and me. I don't need to reply. The message isn't about thanks. It's about recognition, a quiet solidarity that needs no announcement. That night, after work, I take the elevator to the rooftop of my building. The air is cool and clean. The skyline stretches in every direction, lights blinking like stars that forgot to rest. I lean against the railing, the city humming below. I think about the versions of myself I've carried. The quiet child in the corner, the woman too afraid to speak, the professional who built everything yet still questioned if she belonged. They're all here with me, but none of them are steering anymore. I used to think power was being liked. I whisper into the wind. Then I thought it was being rich. Now I know better. Power is being able to say no, and meaning it. Power is being erased, and writing yourself back in. I close my eyes, letting the hum of the city fill the space between my heartbeat and the night air. The phone in my pocket vibrates again. It's an email alert. Skylight Airlines' new diversity policy, signed and implemented. The headline reads, Washington Initiative sets industry standard. I laugh quietly, not loud, not boastful, just enough to feel it. Because it's not revenge. It's repair. And that, I realize, is what quiet power really does. It doesn't whisper twice. It acts once and lets the echo speak for itself. I never had to raise my voice. I murmur, watching the lights flicker across the glass towers, to raise the standard. Some stories don't end with applause. They end with quiet truth, dignity reclaimed, and the realization that not everyone deserves a seat at your table, no matter how closely they're related. What would you do if the people who should love you the most are the ones who try to erase you? Have you ever been forced to choose between peace and self-respect? Share your thoughts in the comments. Your story might help someone else find their voice.